it's really hard for me to understand where people are coming from when they say they are worried about bringing in Mike McDaniel because of the different schematics and how he runs his offense, what the blockers need to do in general. Because Jalen is the one that is supposedly been said he wants to throw across the middle. He wants to do all of these things. But then when you want to bring in a guy who his entire offense is based around timing, execution, and anticipation from the quarterback, you're now saying, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we should take that step backwards. I don't know if we should have the offense in revamp, relearn everything." You have the linemen to do it. These linemen aren't stuck in boxes. They are athletes. Cam Jurgens was brought in solely on the basis of him being an athlete. He hasn't performed well at all in this scheme. So, I mean, what really are you doing? You use him in a Mike McDaniel scheme, and I mean, that's your best shot at getting anything out of him. But Lane Johnson's an athlete. Jordan Mailata's an athlete. Landon Dickerson, when healthy, can do anything you ask of him. So it's not like they don't have the utilities to go out and do it. And then even more so, you want to get these guys in open space. This is a team that was bottom 5 in yards after catch with Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. That should never happen. And of course, a lot of this was because of the hitches. The absurd amount of hitches that have been ran, not just last year, which I feel like people got stuck on. It wasn't a Kevin Patullo thing. Obviously, he ran them more than everyone else. Kellen Moore, just everyone else before him. But it was an Eagles offense thing. They have been in the upper percentile of hitches for a while now. And that's why you've seen such a struggle to get yards after the catch. But it's also because Jalen has had this instilled in him that go balls without help are better than yards after catch. And I probably didn't word that properly, but you even look at last weekend. You have AJ fighting for a ball on the sideline that Jalen clearly predetermines because he doesn't have help. You want to get it to your best guy, cool, by all means. But you can't, at some point, it's 3rd and 9. It was 3rd and 9 on this play. And you have Devontae streaking across the screen against cover 1. There was no help. There was no robber. It was just Devontae streaking across the field. But instead of hitting Devontae and allowing him to pick up the first down with his legs, we decide to launch it down the sideline because there's no help. And obviously, AJ, it's debatable whether or not he should have caught it, but he still made a fantastic play on the ball. But the point is, Devontae is the higher percentile play. Whoever is running that route is a higher percentile play. But Jalen has not been instilled with that. He has been instilled that my guy is better than yours, which he usually is, and he's going to win this ball down the sideline. And obviously that worked in 22. It was a huge reason why they won the Super Bowl got to the Super Bowl, because your guys are better than their guys. But at some point, schematics need to win. And even when they did this year, Jalen just seemed like he wasn't able to hit them. And that's not a Jalen take. I've said this before. It's not Jalen's fault. It's not Jalen's fault at all, and I hate that it comes off like I'm saying Jalen's bad or just something of that nature, because it's really not. He's been instilled to do these things. If we want to get real, I don't want to turn this into Sirianni, but there's only one guy that's been here, one guy that's been coaching him this whole time. But where Jalen does come into play, where it does become a Jalen issue, is if Jalen can't do it. Because once again, we've been told Jalen wants to do it. We've been told in limited reps he can do it. So if you put him in a Mike McDaniel's offense, I truly don't think. I think AJ can do it. I think Devontae can do it. Tight end, obviously, don't know who's going to be there. The offensive line is extremely mobile, like we've already pointed out. So if Jalen can't do it, I mean, I feel like you have your answer, and that's not saying. I think he can. I think with reps he can. It might struggle to get there at first. It might take a few weeks, but I think he can. But if he can't, you have a serious problem. Because you're not going to win with the guys you currently have by doing what you did in 22. It's just not going to happen. AJ is getting up in age. You're probably going to have to draft a receiver soon. You're already having to draft a tight end. You have Jalen on a big contract. You have to pay Jalen Carter. You have to pay Jordan Davis. There's not going to be much money to bring in talent that can execute what they've been doing while he was on his rookie deal. That's just not going to happen unless you hit the lottery in the draft. They have to win schematically. That's what Shanahan has been doing in San Francisco. That's what Ben did this year in Chicago. You need a big brain. You need to bring in a big brain for your offense and have them be able to beat the opposing sideline in a chess match. That is just how you win in today's NFL consistently. And obviously that brings me to Nick. And if it were my choice, which I wouldn't want to be in this position, to sit here and not give a head coaching job if Mike McDaniel comes in and produces a top 3 offense, a Super Bowl caliber offense, it's just, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen if he gets a head coaching job somewhere else. You know he's going to go there. You know he's going to execute again, and you're going to be sitting here with your hands on your lap with Nick Sirianni attempting to pile together whatever he can, bring in just someone to put out a competent offense. If it's later into the schedule, once again, you're going to get another guy from the Eagles coaching staff forced up into an OC role and forced to call plays in which who knows if it's his first time under Mike McDaniel. Who knows if he can operate an offense that they try to run next year. There are just so many question marks when you have Nick Sirianni as your head coach that it's difficult to... Actually, it's not difficult to predict. You know what's going to happen. But it's difficult to know what someone else is going to do. Nick's going to sit there, rah, do whatever he wants on the sideline the whole time. Aura farm the entire game. But at what point do you ask him to be held accountable? At what point is he the one falling on the sword? Like, the one thing I've said this entire week after Patullo's firing is at least Doug had a spine. At least Doug had a spine. You read the entire post that he put out on the Eagles page about having to let Patullo go from OC, and it's like you just fired this guy, right? By all intents and purposes, you fired him. And then at the very end, you say, it falls on me? How could it all fall on you if you just got rid of someone? Clearly, they are taking more of the blame than you. You can't say you take all the blame and then fire someone. That's just not how this works. But that's just a Nick rant. If they were to go a different route outside of Mike McDaniel, which he obviously is my first go-to for this, the other name that has been mentioned in all of this is Brian Daboll. I wouldn't mind it. It obviously plays to Jalen's strengths, but I don't really think that's what this offense needs. I don't want this offense to have someone that's playing to Jalen's strength straight up. I don't want someone that's going to come in and run Jalen into the ground, which Brian Daboll has done in the past. I prefer to see Jalen play in an offense that allows him to see the entire field for its entirety and not have to power run. Because we've seen as quarterbacks get up in age, athletic quarterbacks specifically, they can't beat Father Time. Lamar Jackson is the greatest dual threat of all time. That is just objectively true. And in the past year, you've had the hamstring, you've had the back. Like, these things, whether it's contact or not, they're going to come as you get older. And I'd prefer Jalen be ready for that, be ready to be a pure pocket passer, which I promise I mean that with no ill will. But just be ready when the time comes. Because he by all accounts, he can do it. He just needs to develop into that. And I don't know if Brian Daboll is the best way to go about that. And I think the biggest part about this is how we've seen each of them and their track record for treating quarterbacks. Brian Daboll might have the worst track record of any coach in the league when it comes to quarterbacks. And I don't mean that in the terms of developing them. I mean that in the sense of, holy shit, like, what is he saying? You had the Colt McCoy article from a few years ago, like, essentially just calling him shit the entire time they were together. And then you compare that to Mike McDaniel, who essentially put together the highlight tape for Tua when he couldn't understand, or didn't not understand, when he was low on himself, when he didn't believe that he could do things. And I'm not saying Jalen is in that same boat, because we've seen Jalen's confidence, we've seen the ability that he knows he has, but I want a coach that shows that confidence daily, that will go out there and tell him, like, you're the guy, like, you're going to do this, you're going to bring us there, you can do everything that I'm putting in the playbook on time with anticipation. And I think Mike McDaniel's easily the best man for that job. He is the best man to get Jalen Hurts to where he needs to be by the time he needs to be there.